And welcome to another video. Today we'll be talking about a topic called as budgeting during the time of crisis. Now budgets happen every year no matter what. Whether there is a crisis or not, budgets should be presented because budget is the core for functioning of any country. Now there have been budgets during landslides, there have been budgets during cyclones, there have been budgets during Great Depression, and there have been budgets during COVID-19 pandemic too. Now, taking into consideration all of this, let's take an example of United States. Now, Jonathan Alter in 1933, when Franklin Roosevelt got elected as the president of United States, he famously said that Roosevelt, if you don't manage this, you will be the worst president in the United States. And Roosevelt came out with a reply saying that if I fail, I will be the last person to be the president of the United States. So that is the kind of rhetoric that Franklin Roosevelt gave in when he was questioned on reforming the economy after the Great Depression, right? So that's the kind of confidence that we want from leaders of India and many other countries across the world. Now we have budget session coming up on in February, and we are awaiting with a slew of reformic kind of announcements that needs to be made, right? So before that, now let us talk a little about United States. So United States is also facing the worst economic crisis since Great Depression. It has gone ahead and given out about $1.9 trillion as fiscal stimulus to the economy. That is basically adding up to close to $1,400 for every person in the country, right? And as a payout, and this is coupled with increase in unemployment because a lot of companies, for cost cutting measures, they have no, they are not hiring people, and they're also outsourcing the job so that they can get it done for lesser amount of time. Especially they're sending it to countries like India, Vietnam, and other Southeast Asian countries. And there has been a vaccine rollout, also accelerated vaccine rollout. So for that also there's the huge amount of money required and great amount of manpower who are skilled that are required. So America is facing the heat at the moment, and also it wants the children to be back in school, and also it wants to increase to about $15 per hour as the minimum wage. So there are a lot of things in place, and Joe Biden is trying to do everything possible to get back to normalcy, just like how it was back in 2019. And 2020 has been a worst year for everyone across the world. Now, what is the case in India? In India, as soon as the pandemic struck, we induced a leaky lockdown wherein a lot of people went to rural areas. And right after that, the finance minister and Modi government got to know what needs to be done, and they gave out about 20 lakh crore as fiscal stimulus to the country. And taking few examples of Paul Krugman, because when they are giving out about 20 lakh crore as fiscal stimulus, this will come in with added disadvantages like fiscal stability, right? Because it is basically breaching the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, which specifically states how much should be the fiscal deficit in the country. So by giving out about 20 lakh crore, it is basically vanishing a lot of money out of the out of the government coffers and giving out to the people. So the government will have less money, and it has to start taking loans from other banks like ADB and AIIB, which is Asian Development Bank and Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So it has to start depending on other banks across the world. Now, taking a few examples of Paul Krugman after this 20 lakh crore fiscal stimulus, is the first principle he says is never doubt the power of government in spending. Yes, never doubt the power of government in spending, because government has the ability to spend and also collect back the money that it has spent through various means, and we will talk about it. The second principle is do not be obsessed with the debt. Never be obsessed with the debt, because once you don't because with this obsession of debt, we are not going to spend, and if we don't spend, infrastructure will not come in, healthcare will not be rightly met, and education will also not be met. So all these things should not be compromised being too obsessed with debt. Third one is do not worry about inflation, because inflation is something that can be contained with over a period of time with better collection of revenue through tax rates, and GST has also done a great job in that. And fourth one is never count on bipartisan support. So always have a strict mindset and take a decision, and whether it's good or bad, if it is benefiting the economy, take some decisions to benefit the economy, is what Paul Krugman says. Now let's estimate the Indian GDP to about 200 lakh crore. So Indian GDP has an estimation of about 200 lakh crore, and this is what the budget is going to be in place. And the Human Development Report clearly states that in India, the healthcare sector is fiercely or badly affected, with just 5 out of 10,000 beds, for five beds for 10,000 people, and that is the bed availability ratio. And a lot of economists are telling that increase the expenditure from 1.5% of the GDP to about close to 2% of GDP, and this has to increase so that we get better healthcare infrastructure in the country. Now, National Infrastructure Pipeline has an ambitious project of close to 6,800 projects within it, with an investment of close to 11 lakh crore by 2025. So, a huge amount of money being pushed in to develop the infrastructure in the country. And it is famously said that expenditure on infrastructure has a multiplier effect in improving the economy. And that is what the government is also planning to do with this national infrastructure pipeline. Now, some of the things that we'll have to keep in mind is that to improve the job availability for people, there should be a urban job guarantee scheme similar to the rural employment guarantee scheme. And with increase in fuel prices, the government can take or utilize that revenue for funding these kind of schemes. Now, GST is also a big source of revenue, so GST plus the fuel prices it can utilize and get the economy back in shape. Now, there should be and also put in some surcharges on the super rich, because about the super rich have have become even rich during the lockdown, during the pandemic times. And it is said that about they increase their wealth by about 35%. So you can put some surcharges on the rich, collect some money, give it out to people. Now, disinvestment should also go on at high speed, and utilize that money also for infrastructure and healthcare improvements. Now, lowering of tax rates, Vivad se Vishwas, and infusion of fiscal stimulus have all been benefited to the people, and hopefully in the coming years, these kind of measures will help people extremely well. Hopefully, the budget is going to be a fantastic thing, a historic one from the independence, and hopefully we see a good amount of schemes and measures being put in place. Thank you so much.